What's going on, guys? It's Jono, and today we're going to be talking about how you can generate literally an unlimited amount of leads, web scraping, online job listings. Indeed, Glassdoor, LinkedIn Jobs, all of those kind of sites are gold mines for you if you're a recruitment agency looking to find new companies to recruit for, or you offer an online service like SEO or like digital marketing, and you use web scraping to find people that are already looking to hire SEO experts or digital marketing experts, and you reach out to them and you say, hey, I can provide you with the service that you're looking for. Why don't we work together, right? So it's a great way for you to pretty much generate an unlimited amount of free leads across the entire world. And the best part is it only takes a few minutes to set up, and it runs in the background automatically, generating you thousands of opportunities. So let's dive into it. In front of me, I have this workflow. This is what we're gonna be building today, and I'm actually just gonna run this just so you guys can see it. Essentially what this is doing is we are looping over as many different locations, as many different queries like SEO or digital marketing or whatever you wanna find, and then we're just gonna scrape LinkedIn. We're going to find job listings that are on the site, and it's gonna give us however many you want it to return. And then we're going to scrape those individual websites, right? So all of these people posting on LinkedIn, we're gonna grab their website, scrape their website to find their phone number, find their email, find their TikTok, LinkedIn, all of that kind of stuff. And then we're gonna gather that information, and once it's done, we're going to list it in this spreadsheet, right? So you guys have contact information for everyone. Now, not every single scrape is gonna be 100% perfect, but there are gonna be a lot of results here, most results in fact, that work totally fine. So as we're kind of wrapping this up, we're gonna see the results come into the spreadsheet, and in a couple seconds here, there should be another listing. All right, so there we go. We redid this one, so you can see here, I just ran the same result again, and we received this company click.com. Here's their phone number. So this doesn't look like it's working totally fine. There is no email listed on their website, but we do have links to their LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. We have the search query that we looked for, the location, the job posting, and the job title. Next one, once again, it's kind of just running through these, but the goal here is that you can scrape hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of jobs very, very quickly, so that you can start marketing to these people that are already looking for what you're offering. So let's dive into it and let's build this out together. We're gonna be using two software applications today. The first one is going to be make.com, which is this right in front of me. And then we're also gonna be using Appify. Appify is the web scraping technology. The cool thing is you do not need to know a single line of code. It's not difficult to set up. You can do it pretty much within 30 minutes, and we're gonna walk through every single step of the way together. And the blueprints are gonna be down below. So if you guys wanna skip over and just have the blueprints, they're gonna be down below for free as well. But it is important that you do learn this, because if you do wanna do any form of web scraping in the future, this is gonna help set you up for success. So Appify for web scraping and make.com for automation. So what we're gonna do first of all is we're gonna go into make.com and we're gonna create a new scenario. All right, so to get started, we need to hit this giant, massive purple button that you can't miss on the screen here, and we're going to type in Appify. So what we want to do is we want to do something called run an actor in Appify. So what this essentially means is that if we head over to Appify, because it's going to be easier to explain, if we go into the store, there's hundreds or maybe even thousands of pre-built web scrapers, right? Where somebody else has come into Appify and they've built it themselves, right? And you can use it to web scrape whatever you want, right? So you can use pretty much all of these actors, and somebody else has already built it, so you don't need to know any code, right? So what we need to do is we need to find the right web scraper that we want to essentially, first of all, scrape all of the LinkedIn job posts that we're looking for. And then once we find the LinkedIn job posts that we're looking for, then we scrape their websites to get all the contact information of those particular companies, so that we can contact them and see if they want to work with us on the service that we offer, whether it's SEO or digital marketing or content writing or whatever it is. So in the store section of Appify, the first thing that we want to do is we want to type in LinkedIn job. Okay, and we're going to use this advanced LinkedIn job scraper here. Now it does cost $30 a month to use, plus additional usage for, just running the web scraper, which is like pennies on the dollar. But this is going to scrape different job listings for us, right? So this is what's going to do most of the heavy lifting. Now, if we come in and we grab this job search URL and we just paste it into a new tab, this is the URL that this job scraper is going to be scraping. Right? So it's going to be scraping jobs with SEO in the United States. Now, you can change this so that it scrapes whatever you want, whether it's SEO or digital marketing or whatever. We're going to get into how to do that at a later point in time. Of course, you could just change the keyword here, but we want to do it programmatically, right? And essentially, we need to run this job scraper from make.com. Right? So we need to find this actor here. In order to do that, all you need to do is come down here and click this save and start button. And once you do that, it's going to save this actor into your saved actors list, right? So if we come in here, we have advanced LinkedIn job scraper. And what we need to do is call that advanced LinkedIn job scraper from make.com. So back in make.com, we click on actors and we can type in LinkedIn job LinkedIn, and here's the first result. Now, I just want to make sure that this is the right one because this name, LinkedIn Job Search Scraper, is not the same as this one. This is Advanced LinkedIn Job Scraper. So we can come in here, click Mapped. We're going to click the ID here and just make sure that this ID does in fact match in the URL, which it does. So we're good to go. We've found the right one, and we want to run synchronously. So we want to click yes here. What synchronously means is, to give an example here, is when we went through kind of like the tutorial of this, what's going to happen is we're going to scrape that listing site and find all the listings to get the contact information from, right? If we run synchronously, what's going to happen is it's going to wait at this step while it scrapes all those listings. And then after it's completed and you've received the information, then it's going to go to the next step. But if you run asynchronously, which is the no option here, so asynchronously would be no, then it's going to say, hey, you've started this, initiated it, and before this is even done and loaded, we've already moved on to the next step, which means that because we've already moved on to the next step, we can't reference the results because the results haven't been loaded yet. So you always want to run it synchronously so we get the results, and then once the results are in, then we move to the next step. In terms of the rest of this, input JSON, build, timeout, and memory, we're just going to be focusing on JSON here, and we're going to leave build, timeout, and memory to the default settings here. Now, JSON is just a way to format data, right? And you don't necessarily need to know too much about JSON. The only thing you need to do is know how to copy and paste, right? So all we're going to do is we're going to come into the main actor page here, and we're going to click on this JSON button, and we just need to copy all of this code here, and we need to paste it into the JSON file here. And that's it, right? Once we do that, then we're good to go, and we can close this and click OK. We will be coming back and changing one thing later on, but for right now, what we want to do is run this to see if it worked. So one more step before we run it is that we need to receive the results from this run. So we're going to go in here and click Get Dataset Items. And in the dataset ID, you can search for data and just type in data and click Default Dataset ID. And that should load in here. And now we're good to go. And we can click OK and save. So the reason why we're doing this is because in the first step, we're going to run the module, right? We're going to run the web scraper. It's going to go to this website here, right? And then it's going to scrape this to find like 10 different listings from all these sites. And then it's going to return the results, right? But the thing is when you see the results returned here, it's not actually going to give you the 10 scraped results that you're looking for. It's just going to say, hey, good job, you did it and it worked, and here's a status 200 code, meaning that everything went smoothly. But what we need to do is reference the results by getting the data set items here. So the first is just running it. The first step's running it. Then the second step is retrieving the results. So if we look here, we can see that there's actually 10 different bundles that we received. So we ran it, we got 10 results. The first result, let's just go take a look at this link here. So this is one of the websites or the listings that we just scraped. So SEO analyst from CNN, $76,000 a year up to $141,000 a year. So this is, just one particular job that we scraped. Now, just as a side note, you know, maybe this might not be the best one because it's CNN, it's a big company, maybe it's not your particular demographic or profile, but you can filter out a lot of these in automation by setting it up so that you only find particular jobs that are relevant to you. And there's 9,000 different listings just on LinkedIn jobs alone, and then probably more on Indeed, probably more on Glassdoor, and so on and so forth. So this, you really can get pretty granular with this to make sure that you get the right results that you're looking for. So we have officially scraped 10 different results, right? But the problem with scraping these results is that we have no contact information. We don't have a phone number, we don't have an email, we don't have social media handles, none of it, right? The only thing that this provides us with is the website of the particular company. So what we need to do is take that website and then scrape that website for their phone number, for their email, for any relevant information that we need. And how we do that is by doing another actor in Apify. So we'll click Apify again, and we'll run a second actor. This will be the second and the last actor that we're running. And then the rest of the video will be how we can format this data properly. And if we come back into Apify here and go to store, we're gonna use one more actor. If we type in contact, it's gonna be the first one here. So contact detail scraper, which is going to scrape all the relevant information that we want off a particular site. So we're going to scrape twine.net here, and it's going to run the results, right? And when you run it, it's going to be in your saved actors. So as soon as you run it, it's saved, and you can actually reference it back here. So we're going to type in contact, and it's this one. I don't even want to pronounce this this developer's name here. I'm going to get it wrong for sure. And we're going to make sure that it's set to run synchronously, and the input JSON, just like the first module, we have to copy and paste it in here. If we come back, we can see that the actor is pretty much good to go. It's received some results. We can preview these in a table. We can see the URL that we saw here, the domain, the emails, phone numbers related to that, LinkedIn URLs, Twitter URLs, Instagram URLs. So a bunch of good stuff that we probably want here, which is awesome, right? We're gonna go back to the actors, and we're gonna grab this input JSON file here. So once again, we're gonna click JSON, and we're just gonna copy and paste this in. And we're good to go, right? So that's perfect. But the only problem with this is that right now we have hard-coded one URL. So every time this runs, it's always gonna go to this URL, and we want it to be dynamic, which means that if we get the CNN listing, we're going to scrape CNN's website. If we get the Twine listing, we scrape Twine's website. So how we do this is we just delete the URL there, and we're going to type into the search items domain. Let's type in URL, and okay, it's not coming up. Okay, company website here. Here we go. So we're going to paste this company website in between these brackets, or in between these quotes here, right? And what this means is that every single time we get a website, right, and we got 10 here, it's going to use website 1 for the first scrape result, website 2 for the second scrape result, website 3 for the third scrape result, so on and so forth, right? So we're always getting the correct contact information for each corresponding website. So before we go ahead and run this, and we're pretty much done with Apify and just looking at the page, and we can continue on for the rest of this in make.com, is we need to grab the dataset items one more time. So all we need to do is type in dataset ID, and we just want to make sure that we have this dataset ID from module 3, right? So if we come back out, we want the dataset ID from module 3 here, right? Because we could also get it from module 1, but that's not helpful because we're already getting the dataset ID from module 1 and 2. So we want to just make sure we're referencing the right dataset. And then we can click run, and it's going to grab all of these results for us. Okay, so we're almost done with the results here. It's just taking a couple more seconds to load this in, and here we go. So we got the first result here, and I'm actually going to pause this because we just don't want to run this 10 different times at the start. So let's take a look at this website. So we went to CNN, right? And what did we get? Well, oops, we got emails here, which is empty. That's okay. Phone numbers, which is empty. LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, which is empty. YouTube, empty. TikTok. So we're getting a lot of good data from here. Unfortunately, CNN isn't giving us any emails or phone numbers to contact them at, right? So that is a bit unfortunate, right? Now, what we need to do here is we want to set this up in a way so that instead of just having one URL here that we're looking for, we can have multiple different URLs that we're looking for. So we need to do two more things before this whole automation is complete. We need to set up the starting point of it so that we can scrape literally multiple different websites all at the same time, right? We can go through multiple different listing categories. Maybe we want to do SEO, then we want to do digital marketing, then we want to do content writing, maybe video editing, right? So we can go through tons of keywords. And then once we can scrape tens or hundreds of thousands of results and we process it and we find the contact information on the particular websites, then we want to integrate that all together and send it into a Google Sheet. So we set up the beginning and then we set up the end afterwards. So how we set up the beginning is we want to, we're gonna chain this onto the end here at the, to start. We're gonna use tools, okay? And how we wanna do this is kind of coming back to this website page. We have different keywords that we can put here. So jobs, SEO, digital marketing, e-commerce SEO, SEO copywriting, SEO audits, WordPress, right? There's an infinite amount of things. And then we want to make sure that we capture the location. And maybe you just want to have this location blank so that it's only United States, but we'll target both for now, right? So how we go about doing this is we want to create a new module, and this is going to be a JSON module. We want to create JSON so that we can properly create like hundreds or thousands of different links that we can send this web scraper to get all the job listings we want. So we'll click the three dots here. Actually, we will click add here, and we're going to call this LinkedIn job scraper. And we're going to click add item. So the first thing that we want to do is we'll just title this object. And this is going to be, actually, let's title this array. And this is going to be an array. So effectively speaking, an array is just like a type of data, right? So there's 7 different types of data: text, numbers, Boolean, which is true or false, and then there's array, which is a list of things. So when you kind of see like a list going on, that's an array. And we want to have a list of 2 things. We want to have a list of 2 objects. One is the location, and one is the search keyword, right? So that we can have many different jobs, job titles here, and many different locations that we can capture at the same time. So this is going to be an array, and it's going to be an array of a collection. And the first one is going to be query, and the second one is going to be location. And we can click save and click, we're going to click for query here, SEO. So we're going to copy an SEO here. And then we're going to do, let's just say Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And this is going to be the location, okay? And you can have multiple different ones here. You can have one for, let's just say, SEO, let's say WordPress. You could do like WordPress and then Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Right? So now we're going to have 2 different runs, one for SEO in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I misspelled that there. And the second run is going to be for WordPress in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We're going to click OK here. We will unlink this module. We're going to bring it over here. And this hour thing is just denoting which module starts the workflow. Right? So if we click run here and ignore these warnings, now all of a sudden this is going to run, right? So we're running here and we have created 2 different, we've created this array. Now this is obviously kind of complicated if you don't know anything about software engineering, and don't worry, you don't need to for this course, but this can be quite complicated. So what we want to do is just simplify this down by clicking parse JSON. And parse JSON, we're going to pass the JSON that we just created here into the next object and run it. And now it's going to be a lot more legible. It's going to be way easier to read. So this is what we had at the beginning, which is kind of scary and intimidating. And then here's what we have now. We have an array where the query is SEO and the location is Vancouver, British Columbia, right? And then we have another query, which is WordPress, and then location is Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So great. Now what we want to do is we have these two different keywords and we have these two different locations, and that's fine, but how does that even relate to what we're building at all? Well, we want to make sure that we go through each one of those queries, generate a URL to have that URL being scraped. So we're going to have another module here, which is going to be flow control, and it's going to be an iterator. And what we're doing is we're iterating over the array that we just created here. Right? So if we click run again and we look at the results, we have two bundles. Bundle 1 is query SEO with this location, and then bundle 2 is query WordPress with this location. And we want to set up a variable to essentially be able to generate this URL, right? So the next step is we have the query, we have the location, we need to set a variable, right? And this variable is going to be URL, and we need to create this URL so that we can paste it in here. So we're going to come back, and in this LinkedIn URL, we're going to copy that and paste it in here, right? And we need to do two things. We need to make sure that we have something for the keyword, and then we also have something for the location as well. So I'm actually just going to go into my old module that I built here, and I'm going to copy this at location equals, and I'm going to paste it in here just because it's not actually showing up in this URL. So, and I'm going to delete this. So we have this URL, right? And we have, let's just say Ontario for the sake of the location. We need to change out the location here, and we need to change out the location here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in the query here and delete SEO, and then the location is going to be here. So how this works is that we have a URL, linkedin.com/jobs/search. This is the URL. And then everything denoting this question mark is where URL parameters occur. And what essentially URL parameters are is that it passes information from the URL into the page. So if I was to come in here and type in keywords equals SEO, if I was to change this to WordPress and I type this in again, it's going to change the job to WordPress here, right? So you can pass information from the URL onto the page. So we want to make sure that whatever job post we're looking to scrape, we have the right query here, right? So if this was SEO that we wanted, the keywords would be SEO. If the keywords was WordPress, or we wanted to web scrape WordPress, we'd have the keywords as WordPress, right? So that's great. And then we also want to do the same thing with the location. So if we put location as Vancouver, Canada, then it would be appearing here. So let's just try that out. And we'll type in location equals Vancouver, Canada, right? Now this may or may not work. Let's take a look here. So you can see it doesn't actually work, right? It only put in Vancouver. And that is because in this step here, we need to do one final thing. We're gonna go into, let me just see where it is, into this A here, and we need to select this encode URL and copy this query into the encode URL, and then copy the location also into an encode URL. And the reason we're doing that is because when you look at the URL string here, you can't have spaces in a URL. But what you can have is a space with like this is how you'd put like a space, for example, in a URL, right? You'd have like a %20, right? And what this URL encode URL does is it automatically takes whatever keyword you have, which is like Vancouver, Canada, Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and it automatically makes it friendly for the URL. So if we go into URL encoder online, let's just see the first result here. It's the first time I'm doing this. And we put Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and we click encode here. It's going to change the format of this text so that it's friendly to the web search, right? So this is now what it's listing, which is great because now it's going to recognize that URL. And if we were to come back in here and paste that URL in the location ID, now it should come up with, oh, I misspelled British Columbia, so that's probably why it didn't work, but it would actually paste British Columbia, Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. So that's kind of the whole goal here is now we've created this URL and we can now attach this URL into the rest of this automation here. So we're gonna attach this to here. We'll just auto align everything. And we need to make sure that in here, the search URL is not static. We're gonna delete this and we're gonna put the URL here so that when we start this module, we're gonna create the URLs and then scrape those URLs one by one so that we can generate hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of different pages to scrape, right? So this is super powerful. This can put your web scraping on steroids. And the last thing that we need to do to get it into a format like this is we just need to combine it all together so that we can get these listings into this Google spreadsheet right here. So what we want to do next is we want to aggregate this array together. We're going to have a source module, which is 4. So what this is doing is we're actually going to run this just so you guys can take a look and see. But the thing is that we're scraping LinkedIn first, right? And then once we scrape LinkedIn and we get maybe CNN, then we scrape CNN like 10, maybe like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 pages on CNN. And the reason we're scraping so many pages is because the first page that we scrape might not have their email. It might not have their phone number. It might not have the contact information. So maybe we have to scrape the contact page. So the web scraper is systematically going to go from page to page to page to page to page to get the information that we're looking for, right? And the problem is that we're scraping maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 pages. And if we just throw that information into Google Sheets, it will give us a new line for every page it scrapes. So let's say it goes to CNN and scrapes 10 pages on CNN. It will give us 10 different lines for CNN, right? But we only want 1 line for CNN. We don't want to have 10 different results for every single listing that we scrape. So how we solve that problem is we have this aggregator here that pulls all of the pages for CNN together, and then it lists them all together here. So I'm just going to stop this just so that we don't go overboard because we could scrape a lot of different websites right now. And let's take a look at the results here. We're probably not going to get anything meaningful here, right? So it's empty array, empty array, empty array. And the same thing's going to be for these other results too. Okay. And the reason why is that we didn't target the right structure. So what we need to do is we need to select all the fields here. Click OK. If we were to reopen this again, it's not actually, it's going to uncheck these, right? Just because you can't select all the total and combine the total array together because it's already a total, you're essentially selecting all the elements of every single individual different link and combining them together. So we can click OK here. And from that, we're just going to run this one more time so that we can get the data as a sample to use for the rest of this automation. Okay, so we have received a result here. I'm just going to stop this so that it doesn't needlessly scrape like 1,000 results while we're waiting here. And let's just take a look at the first result. Okay, so this looks pretty good. We have scraped a couple results here. Now what we want to do is we want to add these listings into this Google Sheet. So the question is, one thing that we have to consider is if we kind of come back and go to the previous job results that we had here, I believe CNN had like 5 different listings here. I can't, okay, here we go. CNN. So it looks like they're really posting like 50,000 times very aggressively for the same job, right? Now, obviously, we probably don't want to have like 50 listings for every CNN analyst job that they have out there. We just want one. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that, hey, if this company currently has a job listing available, we only want to have one result on this Google Sheet. We don't want to have 10 different clicks. We don't want to have 10 different home painters Toronto. We don't want to have 10 different Bloom digital marketing agencies. We just want one person or one result per company. So how we have to do that is we have to create like a bridge step here where we first search to see, hey, does this company currently exist in our spreadsheet? And if the answer is no, then create that listing, right? But if they do currently exist, then maybe what we want to do is update the current listing on file, right? So we either create if it doesn't exist, but if it does exist, then we update it. And how we can go about doing that is by having a 2-step approach here, where we first find we search the Google spreadsheets by the domain name. And if it exists, then we update. If it doesn't exist, then we create. So let's go ahead and let's select Google Sheets here. And we're going to search, okay? We'll search rows, and we want to make sure that we select the right account here. And I'm just going to select from all. There's a bunch of different ways you can find this spreadsheet, but I'm going to copy the ID from the URL here, and I'm going to paste this ID straight into the Google spreadsheet ID section. And then spreadsheet name, there's only one spreadsheet name on this. And we have a filtering mechanism here. So we need to find a unique identifier in this spreadsheet so that we know that every time we come across that website, that we don't create duplicates of the same website. And the easiest way to do that is the website URL, which is right here, right? So we'll go ahead and select website equals to, and we're going to select the domain here. So domain right here. And that's it. So now we're going to see if this returns anything. Now, we want to have a fork here where we say, look, if this exists, this current row exists, then we update it. If it doesn't exist, then we create. How we do that is we have a flow control here. And we click router, okay? Which means that it can go down one of 2 paths. And it can go down both, depending if both values are true. But we want to set this up in a way where either one or the other is true, but not both. So for the first one, we can say doesn't exist. And the condition can be if the row number doesn't exist, right? And the second one can be exists. And for here, we're going to click the row number again, and this exists, right? So if it doesn't exist, then we want to create it. And if it does exist, then we update it. So we'll select Google Sheets again. And because this doesn't exist, we're going to add a row here. And this is a bit tedious. We have to enter in, we have to find this module 3 times in make.com. So we're going to find the spreadsheet ID again. And we're going to select the right sheet. And then we can go ahead and add in all the relevant information here. So we'll hide this, and we'll do company. And this will be, company name is owl.io. And the website will be www.owl.co. Phone. You can put in either or. I just put in phone uncertain just because it gives me a few more answers. Emails will be emails. LinkedIn will be LinkedIn profiles. So there could be multiple here for all of these values. TikTok will be TikTok. Facebook will be Facebook. Instagram. So we're scraping the website, and we're seeing, hey, do they have Instagram profiles, they have TikTok or Facebook profiles. And then we're listing all of the profiles that we find here. And then we also want the query, which is going to be in this case SEO, and also the location that we were searching for, which is Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And the job post, which will be this right here, the URL. And then finally, we want the title here. So effectively, we've set this up so that it pulls in all the information that we want. The title, the query and the location are being pulled in from the first step here that we created, right? So it's like, hey, when we parse this, it's like we have two arrays here, query SEO, Vancouver, British Columbia. So we're pulling that in. And then once we scrape initially, we're finding the job title and we're pasting that into, and we're also pasting in the URL to that job post on LinkedIn. And then we're finding all the information related to that website. And we're also going to post that here as well. Now, the next step here and the last step is going to be Google Sheets one more time. And instead of adding a row, we're going to update a row. And we're going to select from all. We're going to copy this URL in here one more time. And once again, this does get a bit tedious, right? Because it's effectively the exact same as the last module. But the only difference here is we need to add the row number, which is this row number right here, right? Okay, so we're saying, hey, this is the row number we want to update. So let's say we want to update row number 5. It's going to find row number 5 here, and it's going to update all the values listed in row number 5. So let's go ahead and really quickly add these last few details in here, and we can run it. Company is al.co. Website is company website. Phone is phone uncertain. And then email is emails here. And LinkedIn is LinkedIn. And there's just one more step, guys, that we have to do after this, which is we have to filter out websites that may not have URLs, right? So in the case the website, we cannot find the URL from the job listing site, we need to make sure that we actually end up removing it entirely so it doesn't shut off this whole script that we got going on here. So we'll just tidy this up here. Query equals let's just see here. I think it should actually be this one. No, it should be this one here. I could be wrong. We're going to have to test that. Location is going to be the location here. And then job posting will be this URL, and job title finally is going to be here. Okay, sweet. So that is all completed. We can click OK, save, and we just want to make sure that at this step we add one filter, and this is going to be URL exists, and URL website, it's the company website, and this exists. Because if it doesn't exist, well, then there's no point in scraping for that website because the website doesn't exist, and it's going to shut off the whole workflow. So that is essentially it. We have built out this entire module, and all we have to do is click run. It's going to go through the first object that we created here, which, as you can see here, is the query SEO in Vancouver, British Columbia. Once it's done all of these, then it'll go on to the next query, which is WordPress, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So it'll go through both of them. It's going to create the URLs, and then we're going to scrape those URLs in Apify to return 10 or 15 or 20 or 100 or 1,000 different results based on the query that we just had there. And then once we get all of the search results from that, we're going to go to each individual website that we just scraped and then find the website's phone number, email, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all of that kind of stuff. And then once we find all that information, we're going to update it and paste it here so that we have a list of all of those different companies, right? We have their names, we have their websites, their phone numbers, emails, LinkedIn's, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. We have the search query that we found them at. We have the location, the job posting, and also the title that they were looking for, right? And this is how you can effectively find hundreds, thousands, or tens of thousands of different listings immediately just on using recruitment sites, right? So there's thousands of listings out there of people that are currently trying to hire for positions that you probably offer as a freelancer or as a business owner. And all you have to do is build a web scraping system just like this to reach out to those people that are already interested in what you have to offer and then sell your services to those people. If you guys liked this type of content, please hit the subscribe button down below and hit the thumbs up button. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the